Well, boys. Right, Ali.
How are we doing?
All right. Hi, Tom. Well, that's welcome to Shoot the Breeze, our first live show from after the Euros. Let's just say it's a bit disappointing, isn't it?
Devastated, mate. Deary me.
So much hope, as usual. That's what we do, isn't it?
It's typical, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway.
I was so looking forward to this as well, Andy, and it's been such a long time. When the national anthem was booming out, I could feel myself getting emotional.
Yeah.
And my children are standing beside me, and they're still too young to fully understand what's going on. But even my wife turned around and said to me, "Are you okay?" Because she could see the emotion in my face, and then, oh, dearie me, once again, just snatched away from you, isn't it?
I tell you, it's like that when that second goal went in. I just put my head in my hands, my head on the table, and honestly, the thing that popped in my mind was that picture of Ali McLeod in '78. Just that, anguish and defeat. But anyway, hi Tom.
Hello, Andy. Good idea doing this podcast. Good idea of yours.
It's the hope. It's the hope that kills us every time, isn't it? It's just
Always is. Look at us, the three of us in our Scotland shirts.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's always the World Cup.
So listen, let's talk about the game a bit. I thought the first half was a bit poor, if we're being perfectly honest. We nothing was sticking up top. Nothing, there was no real chances being made. But at that point, I don't know. I just never saw that result. The first minute or the first 2 minutes of the second half, we were in trouble, and then we turned it up. We had some great chances, and then bang, that. Yeah. So
Yeah, I got to be honest, Andy, I actually thought we started quite well. The first 20 minutes, I thought we were very positive, and I'm just screaming for us to get the ball down the left flank as often as we could, because we were opening them up down that side. But I felt we lost our way a little bit towards the end of the first half, and we were missing out the midfield, which was then almost forcing us to go long, and the ball was just not sticking, as you said, up top. I looked at the stats. In that first half, we had 52% possession, 6 efforts on goal, but more tellingly, only 1 effort on target. So I don't think we asked enough questions of the Czech goalkeeper, and I think when you're the home team, we should be doing more than that.
Yeah, I'm honestly just absolutely gutted. I'm sure we're reflecting the pain and the emotions of the majority of Scotland fans out there. It's just don't know what to say. Even the chances, we had, let's face it, we had plenty of chances in the second half, and it wasn't going for us. The amount of deflections that went against us, it's like they would put a challenge in, or it would just hit off the one the defender deflected, and the keeper made a fantastic save to get back. It was 4, 5, 6 chances like that. Scotland hitting the bar. But at the end of the day, if it's all about scoring the goals, and they've scored 2, and we're right up against it again. And what I was thinking, I don't want this to be another competition where all we're hoping for is please score a goal. You know what I mean? We've been there. It's like all we want is just please score a goal. Give us something to celebrate, a goal to celebrate, and I don't want that to be this. So we're going to have to be.
Tom, do you think we started with our strongest team?
I don't know. We did. I mean, I know certainly some people were saying the bench looked stronger than the team in the park, but I think Forrest made a difference when he came on. Shea Adams made a difference when he came on. So yeah, maybe with hindsight, it could have made a different selection.
I think, Andy, would you have started Shea Adams, or maybe even Billy Gilmore?
To be honest, I've not seen enough of Billy Gilmore to make a decision on that. Shea Adams has impressed me when I've seen him. And, you know, there's no way he can't start the next game, because he made us look as if we had a bit of bite up front, something that would stick. The ball would stick to him and, you know, make something happen. If he doesn't start the next game, then I don't. I mean, I guess it depends on what the game plan is. Maybe if we're just going to go for the long ball against England, which I hope we're not, because certainly you think Dykes is. You look at him and you think he's a target man. He's the man who's going to win the headers, hold the ball up, you know, bring people in. But there was none of that today at all. And there was one bit in particular where it went into their box, and you just wanted him to put his body in front of it, you know, just hold it, and it just wasn't there either. So I don't know, is that the sort of player he is? Is Dykes the sort of player who'll win balls and hold it up like that? I don't know. He certainly wasn't today.
He had a great chance as well, didn't he? I think he's, you know, in 65 minutes, and you know, at that point, you've then, you know, you lift the crowd, you lift your players, and all of a sudden, you go at them again, don't you? And the nerves from them start to set in. They have to start rethinking about how they're going to play. And, you know, there was the argument, should he have taken a touch? But I think it's a natural instinct from a striker when a ball comes at you at that angle, that you're going to, your first instinct is to have a pop. I don't think he quite caught it properly, but, you know, again, you can't take too much away from the goalkeeper, because the goalkeeper saved it. So he made a decent save. But it was interesting listening to James McFadden through the game, talking about where his work rate is why he's there. But we need more than just work rate. We need the ball to stick. We need to bring in the attacking midfield players. That's his role. He's got to hold the ball up. He's got to make himself more of a nuisance. And you're quite right, Andy. I don't think we saw enough of that today.
I mean, I did see a couple. There was a couple of like chances. There was one in the first half, I think, where the ball, he's just got on the end of it, and I think the keeper made a save.
Yeah, that's
got
right.
it down low.
Yeah.
And I think he did well there. You know, I see enough in Lyndon Dykes to like him as a player. I just never saw it today. Bits and pieces, but it wasn't there for me.
See, that was when we were playing well, when we were getting the ball down the flanks and getting the early balls in, and that's exactly what happened in that incident. That was just before 20 minutes. But he just didn't open his body up enough to get the ball on target. But at that point, I actually thought we were doing okay.
So Jim's just joined us, and Jim is here to give us a wee bit, a wee lift, didn't you, Jim?
Oh, do you think? do you know what? Genuinely, we played okay. You know, we played okay. It's just so disappointing that you know, what let us down was just two moments that in a lot of other games we'd have got away with. Do you know what I mean? You know, because let's be honest. I mean, I know Marshall had a couple of saves, but that header's a brilliant header. Right? It's literally the only place in that goal that ball can go that Marshall's not getting enough on it to put it round the post. And then the second goal, I think the TV coverage, I think they were very kind on Marshall.
Yeah, did we think it was too far? What was the difference stand? What was the stand there?
I retweeted it out. There's a picture on. They're just actually showing it on BBC now. His starting position.
Yeah.
His starting position's inside the D. Inside the D at the halfway line, Marshall. And bearing in mind where, because Henry takes his shot from nigh on 30 yards.
Yeah.
There's no need for him to only be 20, 30 yards behind the play at that point. But let's get it right. When you see what a finish that is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
They tried it earlier. They tried it earlier in the game. So they must have seen this. It must have been something that they'd spotted, because I don't know if it was in the first half, but they certainly tried it. And sorry guys,
49.7 yards. That was the distance. It's the furthest distance of any goal that has been scored since records started in the Euros in 1980.
Record breakers.
Is there any more Scottish statistic than that?
I tell you what, my view on it, I'm exactly the same. The only reason a goalkeeper would be up that far as if the corner is about to be taken. And even that's a push.
Interestingly, David Priest, the goalkeeper, the
Yeah.
former Aberdeen goalkeeper, on Twitter, he actually said that he didn't have an issue with David Marshall's starting position.
It was me that asked him, Ali.
Was
Because
it
I
you
know
that asked him,
David,
Jim?
right? I know David, and because he's always my go-to. As soon as you start criticising a keeper, I always let you go to Dave because he's a lovely lad as well, you know. And you just kind of go, right, I don't know what I'm talking about here. And David seemed to think it was all right, but I wouldn't disagree with him often, but I would disagree with him then.
I disagree with him as well, Jim, definitely. I thought he's far too far up the pitch.
Do you know what I think as well is if when you watch it from behind the goal, his reaction is really slow as well. He's up high, and if he reacts straight away, then but he sort of he's waiting to watch what happens with the shot, rather than just thinking, okay, the ball's going up that way. I don't need to. Yeah, and I just think it was too high. I think there was no need for it. I think the fact that they had gotten onto it early on, he should have been absolutely clued up on that. But then I don't want to just pick out Marshall. I mean, the decision. This is what I said at the time: decisions. The decision to take a shot from there was absolutely terrible, considering how many of our players was in front of that ball.
Yeah. He had an easy layoff to O'Donnell, who now there's another conversation we can have about whether or not he was the right choice, because as soon as they brought in Jamesy Forrest to play in that wing back role, we looked a lot more positive going forward. So that's another conversation. But that said, somebody in the telly said that, Henry scored against Holland. He'd hit the bar already, as he'd just taken a little bit of a rush of blood to the head, which, bearing in mind at that point in the game, we had, we'd started, with that little wobble as soon as after kickoff, Marshall would have cut the save. But then we looked as if we were starting to grow back into the game and do what we'd done in the first half. So I can see, but that's what I said earlier on. It's just about those fine margins, just those little moments that a lot of teams get away with, but Scotland never ever seem to get away with them. Yeah. A player making an understandable but ultimately wrong decision. O'Donnell not been quick enough out for the first goal to break the cross. Because I think if we can go at the first goal, you can see I think he slows up to almost put his hands behind his back, just to think, right, I'm not giving a penalty away here, thinking rather than I just need to stop this cross coming in. That's what it looked like to me as well, that first goal. If we can go to that.
Again on the corners, the same thing, well, not the same thing, but we just looked really slow defending coming out from corners, because they did a short one maybe 10, 15 minutes before that, 20 minutes maybe even, and we had one man come out to him, and everybody was slow in reacting. And I think the one that led to their goal, we were slow coming out again, and they got another man that overlapped, I think, wasn't it, and put the cross in. And it was just, we just didn't learn the lessons. I think we should have learnt that lesson from that first corner, and this is fair enough in hindsight, but we should have learned the lesson from that first corner kick, and we should have learned the lesson when the guy took the that first shot. But saying that, I mean, just to say what you back up what you said, Jim, about the first goal was a great header, second goal out of this world. I mean, those were, if it wasn't against Scotland, we'd be just going, wow, two absolutely brilliant goals that have won that game.
A draw wouldn't have flattered us today. A draw would not have flattered us today.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Their keeper had a few things. We tested their keeper. We've hit the bar. We've had good chances. Marshall's had a few saves to make. And I think over the piece, nothing each, one each, would have been the right result. But as I said, that's not the Scottish way. One thing that hasn't changed in 23 years, is just that classic, if there's a break of the ball to be had, we're not getting it.
Yeah. Yeah, even the thing I pointed out was that time McGinn was trying to clear from our area, and he does that thing he does where he sort of leans into people and goes down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he did that when he was at Hibs as well, and I was glad that the referee never gave the foul, because it wasn't a foul, and I see players do it, and I hate when it happens to our team. So I hate when our players do it as well, where it's a lazy bit of play rather than keeping going and, you know, trying to actually defend the ball. You're trying to con the referee. So I was glad about that. But yeah, you know, we saw from that wasn't happening. But saying that, the referee did the same on their side. I thought the referee was all right. I don't really have any complaints about him. There we go. What about you, Tom? You're awfully quiet
well,
there.
and the ref, I thought the ref was all right. It's a wee bit nitpicky here and there, but he didn't really make any major decisions wrong. So in terms of the ref, he was all right.
Are we happy with the McTominay penalty shout? Wasn't a penalty?
This is the one just in the injury time.
No, what in the first half?
The first
Yeah,
half.
yeah.
First
Where he
Yeah.
sort of he never made
I mean,
any effort.
don't think you're ever really going to get obstruction in the box for a penalty, but I mean, I don't think the defender really went for the ball.
Yeah.
He just blocked him off.
Yeah.
But it's always going to be soft, an obstruction in the box. But again, I couldn't see what part of the ball he got or what part of the ball he attempted to play.
Do you know what took me?
Who did disappointed me? I thought McGinn disappointed me today.
Mm-hmm.
You hinted at it earlier on. There was a couple of times where I think he played for fouls, and he just never seemed to have the energy and the tempo that I've seen him in other games.
Yeah.
I was a bit disappointed. On the other hand, I'll tell you, I was very surprised by Hanley. I thought he had an okay game. And I'll be honest with you, when I saw the lineup, he was the kind of, he was the guy I thought, he's the guy that's going to let us down here.
Yeah.
And I thought he did well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought he did well.
Yeah, can't argue with that. I thought he was certainly one of the ones that got major pass marks, and yeah. But
we could have done a lot more, I think, in the second half down the flanks. I don't think we did enough in the first. At the top of the show, Andy, when we were talking about the first 20 minutes where Andy Robertson was getting down, we saw that shot that he had, which was a great save. That we were really opening them up. We were getting the balls in. We were getting early balls into the box. That's where that Lyndon Dykes half chance came from. In the second half, we just didn't do that. Nothing was coming down from the right-hand side at all. There was no overlapping. There was no defence splitting passes. There was no forward passing. It was all becoming a little bit bogged down in the midfield. And this is where you need your likes of your John McGinns, and you need the likes of your Ryan Christies, your creative players, your players who can turn something on a sixpence. And unfortunately today, they just didn't do it at all. And the only time when it looked like something was going to happen was when James Forrest came on. But there wasn't enough today. There wasn't enough creativity, I think, in the second half. And I think when they scored their second goal, it completely flattened us.
Yeah.
And I think the nature of the goal completely flattened us as well.
Yeah. Is there any positives we can take from today? What can we take?
Oh, the first 20 minutes, definitely. I thought we were good. We were strong. We were positive in the play. We were going at them. But then we just kind of lost our way a little bit. Again, mentioned at the top of the show, Jim, that I just felt we were missing out the midfield. When the midfield were not showing enough for the ball, all of a sudden we're then forced to ping the ball forward and it wasn't sticking. But up until that point, I thought we were doing well, but I don't know why, but we just seem to have lost our way after the first 20, 25 minutes or so. If we can get at England in the first 20 minutes the way we did against the Czech Republic, and get a little bit more luck in front of goal, you just never know. But we've got to do that over the piece. We can't just do it in 20 minutes. Against a team like England, we know what it's going to be like at Wembley. Every single player has got to play to their absolute maximum for us to get a result at Wembley, knowing what's at stake as well. And there is no there is no room for error on Friday night now whatsoever. So every single player has got to go into that game playing to their absolute maximum for us to get the points.
What about you, Jim? What can you take from it?
Well, again, positives in terms of the wee exchange with Parliament today was about have we at least we showed up. Now that sounds like a small thing, but a lot of big games, teams don't show up for big games. I think we showed up. Kieran Tierney being back, I think will be massive. And I think, the only problem I think is that I would like to see Forrest start instead of O'Donnell on the right-hand side of a 5. But I suspect, bearing in mind that Phil Foden on the left is potentially such a threat, I think he'll want a defensive wing back in there. Now, on that basis, I would hope, I think, that if we can get to that's when we can make a change at some point in the game. I think earlier on what Ali said as well, our midfield players need to get on the ball more than try to pass them by, because Mings and Stones, or if Maguire's fit, they'll just eat up that long ball all day. So we're going to have to play through. But I'm disappointed. Of course I'm disappointed we got beat. But a draw today for me would have been the right result. And against England, a performance and a wee break of the ball, and I think we could get something out of it.
Yeah. What about you, Tom?
Well, I mean, it felt like that game, the Czech Republic game, was something we had to take from, knowing that England's probably going to be the toughest match. It's not unlike Scotland to not take the points when they should and go and get points when we're not expecting them. So, I mean, I said before, I don't mind if we get beat 3-0 in all 3 games, as long as we're there and as long as we're competing. So I would say just hope we go and enjoy the experience. Hope we go and enjoy it. And we're certainly capable of taking something off England. We're certainly capable of taking something, but we need to lift it. And I'm sure there'll be changes.
I'm smiling there because what you said there is exactly what I said to Jim just the other night. I said, I'm, at this moment in time, I'm just happy to be here. But once you're there and once that whistle goes, you want more than just being part of it. TV watch. What did you think of the coverage, the commentary, the punditry? You're shaking your head there, Tim. I think you said it all.
I just thought Rob McLean. There was no fizz, there was no energy in it, there was no... And James McFadden's a lovely lad, but, like last night, and although he played for, as I call them, right, what a difference to the enjoyment of the Holland game last night Alan McCoy's made, after we had Jermaine Genius for the first game, who's dreadful. John Hartson again, lovely big lad, but he's just one step away from the boy's done well, hasn't he, Clive? Do you know what I mean? In fact, at one point he did say, nice touch for a big man, I'm sure, or a variation in those words. McCoy comes on, and all of a sudden, he's lifted the... In fact, there's a comedian, Blackburn comedian said that I think he got a point. He said that the Czech second goal deserved a better commentary.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Deserved better commentary. I'm sure he's... Again, Rob McLean, it just is what it is. But I just felt it was a very... I wouldn't have thought something a wee bit more energy would have gone wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. From about 70 minutes, he just seemed to be focusing on we're running out of time. Scotland were running out of time. He repeated that about 4 or 5 times. I love McFadden as a player. I'm really not enjoying him as a pundit.
What about you, Ali? You're the man. You're the pro. You're the pro here, mate.
Well, chaps, Usually I would love to indulge, but unfortunately I have to stay and remain completely impartial because I do have people working at the Euros, clients of mine at the moment, so it would be very wrong of me
So we'll
to
just
talk
move
in a
swiftly
personal
along.
opinion here. And anyway, I was watching the Austrian coverage, so I didn't even understand what they were talking about.
Well, for me, I had the 5 Live audio on as well, so I had Pat Nevin, so I didn't
Right.
get to suffer. And just about what you said there, Tom, about McFadden, I want to like McFadden because I like him
Yeah.
from how he comes across, but I think he's too safe in everything he says. He doesn't want to criticise any footballers. He doesn't want to criticise, and that really frustrates me because, if you're in that position where you have to watch what you're saying, then you can't be honest about.
Well, funny you should say that, Andy. I thought at one point I watched the game in Bowen, and I think that there came a wee point where we gave away a lot of very easy ball, and we were very slack in our passing. And I think at that point, did you see Andy Robertson saying everybody calm down?
Yeah.
He was doing calm down, right? Now that's the point I think that the commentator should be or that the co-com should be stepping in and saying, look, we've been giving away a lot of stupid balls, blah 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 blah, and this is the captain. Because I think that's what I want from a co-com. I want a guy who's played the game at the highest level, understood at the highest level, to say, this is what's happening now, guys. Because of this, this, and this, your captain's now doing that, and that's what I want to hear.
Okay, I can jump in now. So last night I was watching North Macedonia against Austria, and John Hartson, who's one of our clients, was co-commentating on the game. So as much as I'm enjoying Austria, I'm also keeping a close ear to what John is saying. So what I do as part of my role by advising and looking after these guys is I critique their performances as well. For anybody that doesn't know, obviously I've worked in the television industry now for 25 years, and I've been producing live studio shows for the past 15 or so. So I would like to think that I could maybe chip in the odd opinion here and there and that. So yesterday there was a couple of opportunities for Austria, and one of them, Grigoric, fantastic glancing header, which the North Macedonian goalkeeper made a superb full stretch save. And John shouts, what a great save, fantastic save. So I texted him this morning and I said, look, what you did was fine, but tell me why it was a great save. Yeah. Don't just say it was a great save. Actually explain to me why it was a good save. Because there was a slow-mo replay of the ball that came in where Grigoric was in between the two defenders, and he just moves his head ever so slightly. So the ball's glanced off his head, which has almost redirected it to the top corner. And I said to John, that's what you've got to tell people. Educate them about that, because then you're in a position to actually explain why it is such a fantastic save, because the ball's been slightly redirected. There's a little bit more pace coming off the header. That's why he's got to go full stretch. And he's not just made the save, but he's tipped it to safety more than anything else as well. So if you explain that, people get to understand. And there was another incident. Alioski for North Macedonia had a chance on 81 minutes from a free kick. And John said it was a fantastic chance, but he didn't tell us why it was a fantastic chance. And I said to him again this morning, I sent him a little note saying, look, in an instance like that, tell us why it was a great chance, what he didn't do, but more importantly, tell us, in your opinion, because you've played the game at the very highest level in that position, what he should have done better. And then you're actually giving the whole incident the context. I also fully praised him when he spoke about the Austria's second goal when the boy got in at the front post from Alaba's cross. John said it's magnificent that he got in front of the defender first. He anticipated the low driving cross from Alaba, and he got his body in at the front post. And that's how that should always be done. And I praised him for that. I said, that's brilliant, John. That's exactly what you should be doing. You should be educating the viewer or the listener about how the game is played. So I like to do that. So I like to offer these guys the feedback, because at the end of the day, all it's doing, I would like to think, is enhancing their skills as a pundit, and it's enhancing the experience of watching the game as a viewer.
So tell me, Alex, sorry, do these guys get a bit of training before they go in to do this kind of thing?
So it's not normal, but as part of what I am now doing with the consulting for the sports management company that I'm now consulting for, I'm now heading up their media division. And we are talking to a number of potential clients who are coming towards the end of their careers. And I'm saying to them, look, if you come to us and if you come to me, I am going to train you. I'm going to advise you. I'm going to guide you. I'm going to tell you what you should say, what you shouldn't say. If you're put in a certain situation, if a presenter throws a curveball at you and you're not sure how to get out of it, I'm going to give you a few examples of how you can get out of maybe a sticky situation. But it's all about the education. But more importantly, Tom, it's all about the feedback. Because if they don't get the feedback, they're never going to be able to take all the points on board to then be able to enhance their skills for the next production. And that's what's really, really important, because it's always about the next production. I have no issues with pundits and presenters getting tongue-tied and giving away the odd bad stat here or there. That's okay. You know, those are mistakes. We're all human. As long as you learn from it and make sure you don't take it into the next production. So it is part, like we look after a couple of basketball players who are on Sky Sports at the moment. And towards the end of the British Basketball League, one of the players was asked to do some pitch side reporting, and he'd never done it before. It was his role to then interview the players at half time and again at full time. He'd never done it before. So we had a Zoom lesson, let's say, and I spoke him through it. This is how you should place your body. These are the type of questions you should be asking. When you throw back to the presenter, just either say to him, back to you, or thank you very much, good luck for the second half. And then your presenter will know that's the cue for him then to pick up from you. So it's all about the education, but more importantly, it's all about the feedback.
I saw that today. There was one, the London Dykes chance, where, what do you call it? The commentator, the co-com said, oh, he's got too much in that. And that, sorry, he didn't got enough on it. I thought, no, he got too much on it because he just knocked it straight out. He needed to get less on it to direct it across the key. And it sounds like a small thing, but I'm like, come on, lads, you know, it's just, and especially he's a striker. You know, you're thinking, come on, you know what? Because even I know that when a ball comes in like that, all we're looking to do is get the faintest touches on it, just to get this off the pace of the ball and just steer it past the keeper. Whereas he's caught it full ball and it just went straight out. You're like, oh, come on. But I think as well with Rob, and that, I think what was kind of annoying for me was, and I think it's because like you, Andy, living down here, everybody down here was watching that as well. Mm-hmm. You know, and yesterday's commentator, especially the first two games, it absolutely showed up what a difference. Although the third game was brilliant, the third game showed what a difference having two people who know their craft can make to a game, you know. And I felt a bit like, for the neutral, if there's such a thing in that game today, I felt our guys kind of let us down. You know, I'll actually prefer watching English commentary on Friday night than that.
You see, as a broadcaster, we're extremely fortunate because you get fantastic, what we call media kits from UEFA. And it's basically, it's almost like a 50-page document, which gives you just about every single stat and information that you possibly need to prepare yourself for the game. And they can be invaluable, especially for a co-commentator. You know, a commentator will go through his own routine and he will write down notes, which are like, it's almost like the Bible. It's absolutely, you know, if you go on Twitter and you look at guys like Derek Ray, if you look at Guy Mowbray, if you look at Clive Tildesley, look at Dan O'Hagan, these type of guys, and occasionally they tweet their notes
They're brilliant.
Commentary.
They're absolutely brilliant, aren't they?
Absolutely sensational. So a commentator, that's part of his trade. He would do that naturally. But for a co-commentator, like with John, I said to him, look, are you getting your stats? Because I've got the stats which have been sent to me from a friend of mine at my former employer. So I said to them, look, if you need it, I can get them for you. And he says, no, it's okay. Everything's good. They're getting provided for us, which is fantastic, which again is all part of the production, because if you're producing these programs, the first thing you should be doing is getting these media kits the first day that you get them. Like when I was producing in Qatar, as soon as I got the media kits, the first person I'm sending it to is the presenter. The second person I'm sending it to is the guy who's in the chair beside the presenter, who's acting as your pundit, so that they can then start their own research. You can never do enough research on football.
Mm-hmm.
See, what you're talking about there with McCoist, I think what McCoist does is he goes in to entertain as well as everything else. And I think lots of other co-commentators are only there to just give the commentary, whereas McCoist wants people to enjoy the football as much as he's enjoying it.
Ali's got a personality and a charm and an effortless comedic timing as well, right? He's got that I'm sure Ali would say that if he could teach that in a 1-hour course, he would never have to work again. Do you know what I mean? Because there'd literally be a queue the length of Sauchiehall Street of ex-players wanting to do it, but just few people get it naturally.
Yeah.
McCoist has got it naturally. That you know yourself, Ali. You put him in a situation where he's possibly going to get wrong-footed. You know he's going to do the production equivalent of dropping the shoulder and getting out of it. And you've got probably most of your clients are thinking, "Oh my God, I'm doing damage control tomorrow morning." Do you know what I mean? You know, so you've got, but that he's a one-off. I think he's a one-off, and the fact that I'm saying that as a Celtic fan, do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, it broke my heart often enough in the park, but off the park, he's got a charm, and he's got a timing that is very, very, you know, it's a talent. It's as simple as that. It's a talent. End of.
Yeah. So Ali, talk to us about your new book that's coming out.
Yeah, it's basically a culmination of all the old blogs that I've written. So it's going back about nearly 3 years now. I was approached by a publisher in Edinburgh who read my blogs, and he said to me, look, I think you're on to a series of books here, not just one book. So he said, what do you think? Because I'm really interested to publish it. So at the time, I wasn't overly interested. But then COVID hit, and people were always looking for something to do, looking at different projects. And I readdressed it, and I went back to Pete, and I said to him, look, I think if I refreshed the narrative from the guys that I've already done, but then add to the book with fresh stories from other guys, from opponents who have played against Aberdeen, and maybe from some people in the media who can add some meat to the bones. So we came up with, he said to me, go away and decide what topic you think could make 2 or 3 really good books. And I thought the obvious one would be Aberdeen's most memorable European nights. So that, I've finished it, and it's now being edited, and it's being closely looked at for probably the hundreds of grammatical errors that are in there, no doubt. But we're looking at getting it completely finished by the middle of August for a release in September. Willie Miller has very kindly written the foreword for me. And I've been extremely fortunate to have interviewed some the most obscure and fantastic people that you could imagine. From Johnny Metgood at Real Madrid, who gave me a fascinating insight into how Real Madrid prepared for the Cup Winners' Cup final.
Oh, bloody hell.
To a guy called Lars Gudmundsson, who scored for Watershire against Aberdeen in the Cup Winners' Cup semi-final at Pittodrie. And please forgive my language, but I need to give you the colourful language to put the story into context, because he did not celebrate when he scored the goal. So he scored when it was 3-0. He made it 3-1, and he didn't celebrate. And I said to him, Lavis, why didn't you celebrate? And he says, because, Ali, I knew we were fucked. And he was sensational. I spoke to, this is incredible. I have to pinch myself even when I'm telling you now. I spoke to the guy who was the goalkeeper for Reykjavik in 1967 when Aberdeen played their first ever European game. And on that night, he conceded 10 goals. And he gave me 10 minutes of his time. You know, he's in his 80s, bright as a button. His memory has faded somewhat with the game. I don't know whether that was purposely or not. But he gave me enough to, you know, get some context for the game and put it into the book. And I'm just waiting on one or two stories to be, I've had them confirmed, but I just need to just be careful how I write the story regarding a potential sponsorship deal that was turned down, which does have a relationship with one of the football clubs that we played against. But just amazing, you know, talking to a guy like Frank Gilfeather, you know, who's a seasoned professional.
Oh, bloody hell, aye.
Yeah. And told me the most remarkable story of when they had to go behind the Iron Curtain to follow Aberdeen in Romania, and how they had to leave the game 15 minutes before the end to make sure they got back to Budapest to get to the TV station to book the satellite to send back the report for North Tonight. And they missed Aberdeen's goals because of that. So they had a dilemma. Do we get the report back and miss 15 minutes of the game? Or do we stay for the game and not provide the report for the show that night? So it was absolutely fascinating. And I will give you one other little tidbit. When they were coming back from Romania, the captain, they were flying into Aberdeen Airport, and they'd stayed overnight and they were flying back the day after. Aberdeen Airport back then used to close at 10 o'clock at night. So any flights that came in after 10 o'clock at night got diverted to Edinburgh Airport. So they're coming back, and it's about 20 to 10, and they're around about Dundee. So they're just away to descend. And the captain comes on the tannoy and he says, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very sorry, but we're going to miss our landing time at Aberdeen. We're going to have to divert to Edinburgh. Whereupon a certain Sir Alex Ferguson rose from his seat, made his way to the cockpit. He was in there for 5 minutes. He came back out, he took his seat, and the captain came back on the tannoy and said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to report that we shall be arriving in Aberdeen, but we shall be arriving 20 minutes late. So Fergie got up, went into the cockpit, and absolutely demanded that the plane land in Aberdeen, no matter what.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
So there's just little bits like that. So I've loved it. You know, I've brought all the blogs together of all the big games.
Because you're lucky, Ali, because you're blessed that that Aberdeen team, apart from being a great football team, had great characters as well in terms of storytellers. Because funny enough, I used to know the McGee family back at that period. Do you know what I mean? And I bumped into quite a few of them, and Wee Gordon and Big Eck and whatever. And they were all, the other thing as well, they were a very clever team as well. You know, the kind of the Scottish, the football stereotype of the 1-0 level footballer. Yeah. That Aberdeen team had a lot of bright lads in it.
You remember Aberdeen came back in the 1983-84 Cup Winners' Cup when we were 2-0 down against Upes Doza, and we beat them 3-0 at Pittodrie to go through at the semi-final against Porto, and Mark scored a hat-trick. Well, if you so Mark very kindly spoke to me for the book, and after the first leg where he missed an absolute sitter, as did Gordon Strachan, he explained to me an example of a hairdryer treatment, but he explained it more from a geographic point of view, and I'm not going to give it away because I want you to read the book, but it is the funniest explanation that I have ever heard of Sir Alex Ferguson's hairdryer treatment, because he says he got it with both barrels that night. And then obviously he went on to score the hat trick in the return leg and put us through.
I've got a story, but I can't tell it on here. It's like as soon as he puts it off, then I can. There's a story about a game at Ibrox, and I'll just.
All right. Well,
not one for the lawyer.
In that case, Ali, when will it be available, and where will people be able to get it from?
So I'll update everybody on social media, but we're looking at an early September release, and it will go through the normal channels, I guess, Andy. So, yeah, that's still all to be decided, because the book has literally only just landed at the sort of the editor's doorstep. So I'll update everybody over the coming weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, but it'll be done through the normal channels.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll hear about it on Twitter and social media. Okay, thanks, Ali. Thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, listen, lovely to speak to you all.
Indeed.
Cheers,
all right.
Ali.
Cheers.
Take care.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
So, Jim,
I'm just laughing there, Andy. You're wearing that strip, and that's one of the things I notice when I'm down here. That Russia game, right? Because always that strip's that kind of era, the Hansen, Slate, Miller era, you know. And that's always one living down here that you can work out what somebody's really all about is who do they blame for that Russia goal? You know what I mean? Because English lads are always like, yeah, probably Hans. You know, it was Willie Miller's fault of that, was it? It was Alan Hansen's fault all day long, you know.
It certainly does. So tell us, you've been doing a comedy gig again. Have you been doing any other ones? How did it go?
I'm hopefully got a couple coming up. It's very slow, Andy, because rightly so. You know, I've got a real job, inverted commas, you know, and I actually heard it described, it's just my exciting hobby, right? And it's good as a hobby. But at the moment, and it will be for the next wee while, promoters are trying to get people paid. Do you know what I mean? And you know, they're offering work. You know, I'm in a few forums and stuff, and you know, guys are saying, look, we've got this spot that I know 2 years ago would have been a spot that I could have applied for, but now they're maybe offering 30, 40, 50 quid for it. But that's somebody who pays the bills for doing gigs. And I've not got a problem with that. See, at the moment, these guys, just get them back working, get everybody back working, and then everything will settle down, and then I can start to pick up wee bits here and there, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I'll get back in. Yeah, I enjoyed it so much, and yeah, I'm back up for it. I'm doing. I've got a gig in Bradford in July. I've got a nice gig in, fingers crossed, sellout gig in Salford in August. We're looking for things to start picking up soon.
Sorry, whereabouts in Bradford are you?
Don't know. I've got a postcode. I'll let you know though. I've got a postcode. I just got can you do blah 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 on such and such on a Sunday night? I was like, yeah, July the 11th, I think it is.
Right, okay.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back to it. I'll be honest with you.
Tell us
after today, we need a laugh, don't we?
Yeah, but tell us about your Scottish sports correspondent work that you've been working on as well.
Well, funny enough, I've got tonight. I'm on the Guardian podcast tonight.
Yeah.
I'm on it tonight, and they asked me to do Friday, and I'll be honest. First of all, I said, nah, don't know if I can, lads. You know, I said I'll pretty much come straight on and just call Max Rushton a cunt, no matter what the result is. You know.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest. I went to the pub on Sunday just to watch the football, and there's a different vibe down here. Well, you maybe know, Andy, that in certain areas there's a real different vibe to the England support than I think would be the same up in Scotland. So I wouldn't feel comfortable being in the pub.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I still think there's always there can be a wee undercurrent that I wouldn't be too comfortable with.
Yeah.
So I was just going to watch it in the house, and then once I watch it in the house, I can do the podcast after it. half cut, obviously. 'Cause there's no
course,
way.
of course.
There's no way I'm tackling that England game sober. That is just not happening.
Yeah, well, I'm actually meant to be going to a friend's close to where you are, in Kipax. So I don't know if that's going to happen though, but we'll see. But we'll be doing another one of these after
How
it.
do you feel about the game? And genuinely, how do you feel about the game on Friday?
I'll let Tom answer that first.
I'm going to enjoy it. I mean, I think you need to look at. You can't really look past England. I don't think you can really logically say Scotland are going to beat them. But you know, who knows? Hopefully we'll get tore in. And we need to get something at it. I think. So hopefully it'll be a good entertainment at least.
I think personally, I'll go into the game because this is what happens. But whenever we play, and especially England, but whenever we play better opposition, my default position is I don't want to get humped, and that maybe that's wrong, but that's just how I feel. That's how I feel when the game starts. But as soon as the game starts, if we put together some passages of play, a little bit of pressure, some moves and goes, and suddenly you think, we could actually get something out of this. So I think that will be the case for me. I'll go in, I'll think, please don't get humped. The Delamitri don't come home too soon sort of attitude. But as soon as the game starts, I think we can beat anybody. I'm like that with any football team. It's just built in me that way.
To be fair, I did some notes just when we were talking, and I could see the telly in the background. You look at it, that Robertson chance, Che Adams kind of changed things. With the Lyndon Dykes one that spoke about the commentary, Henry's hit the bar, the OG, and near enough the OG, and Armstrong's chance. Now that's a handful of more than decent chances.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And I think it was more or less chance wise the same for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, the England performance, other than they started quite brightly as well. And I actually, that's why I thought today a draw would be the fair result, because I saw fair chances for us, fair chances for them. England started quite well, but if we weather the initial 15, 20 minutes and the game settles to the same way it settled when they played Croatia, because if you look at their game, I was kind of texting one of my English mates during the game, and I said, you need to get your substitutes right here, because they didn't look as if they were going to score. Right. In fact, literally just before there. So if we can do the same, if we can start and make sure we don't get punished for any mistakes that we make, and we don't get punished for, because as I said today, that first goal, I don't think we made. O'Donnell should have gone out a bit quicker, but I think he did. I think he thought right away about the penalty because he realised he was in the box with the hands behind the back thing, and I think he slowed his. I think instead of going out thinking I'm going to close this guy down or clean him out, he was thinking just don't hit my arms and get away a penalty.
Yeah.
And that gave the guy a chance to pick out a decent cross, and it was a brilliant header.
Mm-hmm.
It was a brilliant header. It's literally the only place in the goal that could have gone, where Marshall wouldn't have got something on it.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'd rather get beat with goals like that than shitty, trundling goals and things like that, or deflections and. So yeah, listen, Friday, maybe we weren't underdog enough in this game. Maybe we were sort of too, hopeful, or we thought we could get something out of this, and maybe that's not our greatest mindset going into a game. Maybe we have to be the underdogs a wee bit and just dig in a little bit. I don't know.
But as you said earlier there, Andy, we're here.
Yeah. And
it's just nice that the party's going on and we're part of it. Do you know what I mean? You know, I've had too many years of just supporting whoever England was playing against. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, this, you know, having 8 nationalities during that, 7 or 8 nationalities during a national or a tournament, it's a tiring business.
Yeah.
At least this way, be Scottish and be miserable, and that's.
Yeah, it's certainly, you know, it got to the stage where it could be quite costly as England progressed, because you had to buy more and more football strips for the other team. So, yeah, definitely. So, listen, Jim, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely no problem, lads. I say it's a shame.
thanks.
Hopefully your next two will have a bit more upbeat and a bit more to talk about. And it's we're there, and
Yeah.
let's get it right. We didn't let ourselves down today.
That's
we didn't let ourselves down. We got punished for, you know, punished for 2 bits of borderline bad decision making. You know, and they weren't horrific decisions. As I say, the boy should have been out quicker. Henry maybe shouldn't have taken the shot. Marshall maybe should have been, you know, Marshall's 10 yards back, 15 yards back. He's tipping that over the bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
No,
know,
listen,
but-
you're absolutely spot on in that. You take away those 3 decisions and what came from them, and you look at the game and you think, actually, yeah, and spot on again, a draw would have been a good result based on everything other than those decisions. And
Well, thanks, lads. You've just the equivalent of fluffing me for the Guardian podcast.
Maybe that's what you thought that was in Tom's screen there. Tom's a bit hairy, isn't he? You're a bit
Guys,
excited.
listen, all the best.
Yeah,
Absolutely fantastic to speak to you both. All right.
Yeah, Jim,
And I'll
and
see you for a pint soon, Andy. We'll
spot
get
on.
that sorted
Absolutely, mate. Yeah.
out.
Great.
All right.
You take care.
Thanks, Jim.
Tom. Take
Cheers,
care,
Al.
lads. Cheers,
Take-
now. Bye-bye. Bye.
So I guess that's the end of our first live podcast. Sorry that we couldn't have been celebrating a draw, even because we would have, wouldn't we? We would have celebrated.
celebrated a draw, yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, about the podcast, we're into season 5. So this season we've had Craig Brown, we've had Paul Power, Kenny Day, and who's up next, Tom?
Dave Hannigan from the Irish Times
Right.
is on
And
later this week.
That'll be out this Wednesday, and we've got some other crackers coming up as well. So, you know, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to do more stuff on there. We're going to maybe do some of the podcasts live as well on it, and do other things like this. We'll maybe do shorter podcasts and interviews as well. So subscribe to the YouTube, get it shared. Shoot the Breeze is shoot TB_podcast at Twitter. So give us a follow there as well. And I guess until the next time, let's shoot the breeze. And cheery bye for Tom as well.
Jeez. Is that us?